Comrade Chairman, Comrade Ronald, thank you both for being at the head table. Comrade Paul and Ryan and Mark, candidates at the next general election, members of the media, comrades all, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As we gather, I ask you first to continue to keep the people of Haiti in prayer following the devastating earthquake that befell them. It is a nation that finds itself under many trials, but we continue to ask the Lord to help them keep faith and move forward as a nation. I have a lot to say tonight, so I will ask you all to settle and get comfortable. I am going to say some things that you will agree with, and some things you will find difficult to accept, but we have to not just speak to those across the aisle about what they are doing, but we also have to be able to critique ourselves. It is good to be here at Deighton Griffith. I am a Christchurch man, always have been, always plan to be. And as everyone knows, Christchurch is the key to any general election success. So I say to the people of Christchurch, y'all are much loved, much appreciated, and much needed by the Democratic Labour Party. I'm going to go off on a little tangent, but I'm going to ask you all to bear with me because there is relevance to it. I want to begin my address by talking about genetic predispositions, or what some people call genetic susceptibility. I stopped playing cricket in secondary school for the simple reason I have a very weak left eye. And because of this, I have a lack of depth perception, and I realized I was disposed or predisposed to getting hit by a hard ball too often. This left eye weakness is a genetic anomaly that I inherited from my father and I share with all my siblings. And we know in medicine there are notions of genetic predispositions. Research has shown that people areas like hypertension and coronary heart disease and diabetes and high cholesterol and certain types of cancer are influenced by one's genes. But the reason why I am sharing this, because as a political sociologist, I have wondered whether persons could be genetically predisposed or susceptible to certain types of political behavior. And I'm going to ask you to listen to this clip. Listen to this clip.
Children, I'm in my child. I want to live in a country where there's freedom of expression. I want to live in a country where no despot can feel that they should hold the destiny of my children and my grandchildren in their hands. And that my mom is a menace. She's a menace because she's a despot. She's a menace because she's a despot, means that she has a right to be a despot. She's trying to be a despot with me.
What is a despot? A despot is simply a leader who tries to or wields absolute power on authority. Despots can be found in families, sports clubs, social clubs, in teams, even in religious groups. But colloquially, when we apply this word despot or the similar word tyrant or dictator, it applies to those who use their power and authority to ensure their desired outcomes are realized. And I will ask you, selector, to play again.
In the name of my children, I'm a child. I want to live in a country where there's freedom of expression. I want to live in a country where no despot can feel that they should hold the destiny of my children and my grandchildren in their hands. And that my mom is a menace. She's a menace because she's a despot. She's a menace because she's a despot leader. She has a right to be a despot. She's tried to be a despot with me.
So I wonder, as a political sociologist, whether persons could be genetically predisposed to certain types of political behavior. And I want to share an excerpt from this book, Beyond the Bridge. It was a series that was done to commemorate the 375th anniversary of Bridgetown. Sir Richard Johnny Cheltenham wrote an article on E.D. Motley and the city. He wrote about Ernest Deighton Motley, who was the mayor of Bridgetown and is the current Prime Minister's grandfather. And Sir Richard, and I want you to understand this is written by Johnny Cheltenham, this article. He notes that in 1963, a Dr. Richard Jackson was appointed as the sole commissioner to inquire into the workings of all aspects of local government councils on the island. Sir Richard wrote this: Dr. Jackson was critical of the administration of many of the services performed by the council. He felt that many services were run with neither efficiency nor economy. He was of the opinion that in some cases, interference in the administration of the services by elected members was responsible for their inefficiency. In what could only be regarded, Sir Richard says, as a dig at E.D. Motley himself, he wrote that the object of local government is defeated if it becomes a one-man show. I want you to hear what is, listen carefully. In what could only be regarded as a dig at Motley himself, he wrote that the object of local government is defeated if it becomes a one-man show. And so I asked the question, could despotism be an inherited political characteristic? Well, last time, Selector.
In the name of my children, I'm in my child. I want to live in a country where there's freedom of expression. I want to live in a country where no despot can feel that they should hold the destiny of my children and my grandchildren in their hands. And that Mayor Motley is a menace. She's a menace because she's a despot. She's a menace because she's a despot leader. She has a right to be a despot. She's tried to be a despot with me.
I believe that in 2018, while the people of Barbados wanted to send a clear message to the previous BLP administration, they never planned to sow seeds that could lead to despotism in this country. And just as Errol Barrow realized it would take drastic action to get rid of E.D. Motley, it falls now on us, the people of Barbados, to take drastic action to deal with this recent vintage of Motleyism. I say to you, the people of Barbados, if democracy is your concern, give them only one term. And why should we seriously contemplate putting this party out, this government out, after one term? As I said, first problem is how they have mishandled our economy. There has been multi-millions of dollars spent on so-called financial wizards and economic gurus, but our economy is a mess. And we cannot blame it on COVID. I have said this time and time again. In 2020, the World Bank reported that Barbados' economy fell by 17.6%. one of the worst performing economies in the world. This is not the worst in CARICOM, not the worst in this, but in the world. You count all of them banana republics that somebody trying to connect us with. We have been worse than all of them. Our debt to GDP ratio gone through the ceiling. I remember before 2018 how they said we did not know how to manage an economy. Well, guess what? They are doing worse than us. Barbados is the 7th most indebted country in the world. And then we read in today's paper, on the weekend, with no reason given to the people of Barbados for holding out on signing up to the OECD-led global corporate tax rate that all the developed countries, most of CARICOM, signed on to. Barbados decided it was going to be one way and indifferent. And they have now just signed up without saying to us first why they didn't sign up to start with. When I told the minister responsible, I am not going to do his job. He gets paid for it. I talking on maritime affairs, the minister for Moses and fishing boats. I talking on the Attorney General's portfolio. I got to speak on too many things, and I don't get paid. They get paid, and all of them cannot behave like they're the Minister of Health and speaking on COVID only. There is work to be done. We have crime in this country to be addressed. We have problems with education to be solved. It is not enough for them to be paraded on TV as if they ain't got real work to do, to just keep talking about COVID, COVID, COVID. It is serious. Don't get me wrong, COVID is serious. It threatens our lives, it threatens our economy. But there is more to Barbados than just handling COVID-19. Why one term? Because while they're messing up the economy, they are killing us. Bajans are barely able to make ends meet. Some of us can't. Some people cannot make ends meet. Barbados is the 8th most expensive nation to live in the world. And nobody ain't gonna tell us that. We know it for ourselves. Taxes and levies killing me. Gas prices killing me. Food prices killing me. They had, I don't know if you all saw it, they had this BBC anchor, Zainab Badawi. She came to Barbados to interview our leader. And she said this: when I go to the supermarket here, food prices are really high. That's diplomatic speak. I can't believe this. All right? And she said that I am thinking, goodness, again she's trying to be diplomatic, how can people afford to buy food here? We can't. People are catching the royal here, and a government that is indifferent to our plight. Every time you go in the supermarket, like people just sticking more prices on them, just carrying them out, with no explanation. Now we know the reality. There are problems in the supply chain. Getting goods and products from all places, especially China, has been challenged, and there are consequences for that. Y'all heard recently that there was going to be a serious increase in the price of feed. I was told that a cabinet paper was drafted and discussed. And this is why I like the civil service. Don't mind everybody cry them down. There are some conscientious people in there. There are some patriots in there that want the best for Barbados. And one of those concerned civil servants told me that these acting leaders of Barbados are considering a multi-million-dollar payday to the feed producers to keep prices down. But the problem with it is, this seems to have been done giving way more taxpayers' money without scrutinizing financial statements, without reviewing management accounts, without looking at operational procedures to understand why this is going to be, the price increase is so high. But my point is, if you have $2 million to spend, and I know Comrade James would agree with me, why not give support directly to the farmers? Why is it that this administration seems predisposed to support corporate elites rather than the small man? You tell a man he cannot operate a shop during COVID, but you could go in the supermarket because COVID is only loiter around shops. That can, and it didn't make sense. It was discriminatory. It went against the small person who is trying to survive in this brutal and punishing economic environment. So I say to you, I say to the people of Barbados, if the welfare of ordinary people is your concern, give them only one term. Give them only one term. And in all of this, with insufficient vaccines available in Barbados, with no guarantee of free and easy access to PCR tests, with uncertainty with the efficacy of certain brands, and with legislation, anti-discriminatory legislation that makes it illegal to use people's medical status to determine employability, there seem to be those who want to trample on individual rights by saying no vaccine, no work. Let me be clear. I support vaccination. I am vaccinated and I support vaccination, but I believe in persuasion, not intimidation. I believe in democracy, not despotism. And I have given, and I will give the government credit for how it has handled the COVID-19 situation, which has been better than their mismanagement of the economy. I was pleased to read in the paper that we got 70,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. But I was alarmed. I was alarmed to read that the Minister of Health admitted he did not know the shelf life. You get me? He told the people about this, he don't know what the shelf life is. This is a challenge with the Pfizer vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine has to be stored at temperatures between -80 and -60 degrees centigrade. You understand? That is cold, cold, cold. It can be only kept in a normal freezer for 2 weeks. And it can only be put in a refrigerator for 5 days before they have to be thrown away. The reality is very few countries in the world have the capacity to manage a vaccination program with this requirement of ultra-cold storage. And I weigh the details. And I ask on behalf of the people of Barbados for details from the Ministry of Health how it is going to handle this most delicate vaccination. Related to our COVID situation, we still have problems in the Ministry of Tourism. Our tourism sector is struggling from a lack of leadership and a lack of strategic direction. Again, you read in the media just yesterday how there is now again a backlog of COVID-19 tests, which have caused many visitors to spend day upon day upon day in a hotel. They said on Monday last week, people came in, got the COVID test, they did not get the results till Thursday afternoon. They are displeased. And what do we hear from the leaders? They say that this time around it is because of a technical issue. But this is not the first time in between December and January this year. You recall how many people were complaining that they were not managing the testing at the airport well. This is unacceptable for a tourism-based economy. And I would say to you, the problem is not a technical issue, but an accountability issue. Because without an effective opposition, we cannot get a motion of no confidence in the Minister of Tourism. She is singularly one of the most inept ministers that we have ever had in charge of our tourism sector. And I would say that as we have been able to celebrate Richard Seeley's commanding leadership of tourism while he was minister then. So I say to the people of Barbados, if good governance is your concern, give them only one term. And if all of this was not already too much, we are now being advised that we will lose our Independence Day to some kind of Republic Day. They seem to want to replace the greatest son of our soil, the father of independence, with a Republican missus. Someone who is still far off to create any legacy for herself. And I don't care how many TV shows she go on, how many interviews she do overseas, how many magazines she in. That does not make a legacy. That only makes PR. You cannot create a legacy for yourself. The people have to make a legacy for you. Errol Barrow, long gone, may he rest in peace. And his name and his spirit continues to lead this country. I support becoming a republic, but at the right time and in the right way. Becoming a republic should be the express will of the people and not the aspiration of any leader. I believe in democracy, not despotism. As you all know, I have been based in the United States. I went as an economic migrant. After serving as High Commissioner for Barbados, everybody said, my guy, you'll come back and everybody will want you to get headhunted. Whatever. Not a job. Not an offer, not a work. And I did, as I always do, I let the Holy Spirit guide me. And it led me to Florida, and I found a community there that welcomed me. And I have been able to take a step back and look critically on where we are as a nation. But while I was there, because the good thing about being in America is that I got familiar with the Trump presidency and certain kinds of political tricks that are used there, and I realized may have been transplanted about here. So what Donald Trump used to do is what they call the art of political distraction. When they got a real crisis going, he's run on board and sip out the refugees. Or he's pick on people that are vulnerable. And then the media gets into it and the real issue slips by. So when on the 26th of July, I heard this announcement that we are being rushed with indecent haste to become a republic on the 30th of November, that hallowed and sacrosanct day when we became a nation, a people in the world respected because we said we would be friends of all and satellites of none. When I heard that that was being thrown out, I started to wonder what sort of political occurrence that was taking place that we were being distracted from. And it became apparent later on in the day when we heard that the populist, pro-business, Chastity administration in St. Lucia was put out after one term in office. And I knew that that was what we were being distracted from, because that would have been a blow to similar regimes. Because what happened in St. Lucia, the defeat of Chastity, was an affirmation there that PR and spin and salesmanship is a poor replacement for sound management of a country. And Bajans are aware of what is going on here. All the spin and the PR and all of that is not a replacement for sound leadership that we know. I know that Bajans are a measured people. But if sound administration is your concern, I tell you, give them only one term. Sometimes people ask what they think are very simple questions, but they're really very profound. I have a cousin of mine who is not too involved or interested in politics. But she asked me this question very simply. And she said, if Mia Mottley was destined to be the leader of Barbados, as prophesied by some since she was young, why isn't she better prepared for the job? Why did she not acquire the fundamentals of leadership that would allow her to be a more effective leader? I have said, and it applies on both sides of the divide, leadership is not something you are born with or something you inherit. Leaders are made when you connect your purpose and your passions and your talents with a desire to make a difference in the world around you. Unlike others, I will never tell you I was born to lead, but I will tell you this: I am committed to serve. I am committed to serve this party and the people of Barbados. That is my commitment. I do not feel I have any God-given right to be a leader. I will earn it because of y'all. I will come to y'all. I will go to the DLP. I will speak to the people of Barbados and explain to them why I believe I am the right guy for the job.